So I wanted to do another video while I was cooking dinner tonight. It was weighing heavy on my heart. And I tried to talk about this before the last one that I did, and it was kind of getting all mixed up. And I feel like I probably have my thoughts in order on this. And I wanted to share about, for me, what emotional security looks like and what it looks like in not only a relationship but in like a family unit, family dynamics. And I'll just kind of start with as a little girl, we oftentimes look at the father as, he's a provider. He protects, and he gives us our identity. Whether we know it or not, and this is kind of deep, and it's probably a whole different subject matter that we can talk about. But I learned this when I was in Georgia about the dynamics or the comparison between, your parents and God and the triune entity. But as a child, our parents, and this is probably going to blow some of your minds, but our parents, when we see our parents, that's how we see God, so to speak. And what I mean by that is they're the first ones that we actually see and connect with, and we will compare or recognize them as like our father, as our protector who protects us spiritually. Someone who provides for us, someone we can count on, someone we look to when we're down and out, okay? And somebody who gives us our identity. So our father is the one we look to seek our core, our identity, the empowerment of who we are is from our father or from God the Father. So I just threw that in there. That's not where I wanted to go with this, but we look to our father for protection. And that's the main thing I wanted to talk about in regard to how a child perceives their father, and then how, as we grow older, a woman even and the children will look to the father or to the husband as being a protector. So, as a child growing up, and I'll even throw this in here, just kind of, I like to use my own life as an example, because that's how I can show and how I can relate to other people, is by giving my story. Yes, coffee at 9 o'clock at night. It's me. But anyway, so, when I was a child, there were a few times where I was abused. One particular time I was abused by my father's best friend. I'm pretty sure. Of course, I was asleep, but he was the only other man in the house besides my dad, who was in the other room. But anyway, I said all that to say, for a long time, I did not feel, I was hurt, even though my dad wasn't the direct reason or the direct source of that abuse. He did not protect me, and he wasn't there to save me. And that's how a child looks to their father. So when that is not there, when they're not protected by their father, and oftentimes when they're completely abused, when they're abused by their father, that's even worse. It's like, we're not protected by our father, but we're actually abused. That just kind of really, really, really gives us the lack of security that we need, the lack of protection that we need, leaving us vulnerable to other abuse, and showing us as a child that it's okay for a father to not protect. And it's not okay. So fast forwarding to, a family unit or a relationship, a woman will look to her husband as a protector. And the dynamic of that relationship has many facets. She needs to feel protected physically protected. She needs to feel emotionally protected. That's why it's so hard for a lot of women to open up to men, because of that male dynamic, or that male role was lacking in her life as a child. That's a lot of times, like I said in the last video, I always go to the root. Okay, so it probably happened as a child. She wasn't protected by her father. So that carried on to her adulthood, where a man, he's not going to protect me emotionally. If she's a child and her dad pushed her away or was not emotionally available for her, she's going to grow up feeling the same way towards men. She's going to have her wall up. She's going to have her defense up, not want to open up, because she was not protected by her father to begin with. So it's going to take a special man to step up and recognize that and be willing to protect her emotionally. And it's more logical, because I know because of, my, not only from experience, but I know from my studies that a man automatically feels the need to protect a woman that he loves, or to protect women. That is just, it's in their genes. And if even more so, if they're men just they need to protect. That's just in their nature. And I'll go off, in other videos and talk about the natural instincts of women as well. So in order for her to feel that she's going to be protected emotionally, a male would have to show her that in steps. A lot of times it'll take building trust. Of course, that's the main thing. And just showing her that you're listening to her, even in the little things. Communication is super important. A female needs to feel protected emotionally, and it takes a lot of trust for her to open up if she's been abused by or neglected in that area as a child by her father. She will look for, a respect has a lot to do with it. Being respected, feeling confident in the way you treat her, both publicly and privately. And then those are ways to build trust with her is, don't humiliate her in front of other people, because that'll automatically, cut off the trust that she has for you emotionally. But all in all, a woman needs to feel protected physically, and it's the best feeling in the world to be protected physically. So guys, if you have that instinct and you feel like that you need to protect, by all means make her feel protected, because women are looking for that. In a world where they've been abused, it's always refreshing to find a man who's willing to protect. But also remember that her emotions need to feel protected as well. And just have understanding that it may take a minute for you to build the trust that she needs to allow you to be the one to protect her emotions. It starts with trust. It starts with helping her with confidence and trusting that she will bring her wall down and allow you to protect her emotionally. So anyway, I hope that made sense.